screen, and we are at the bottom of the hour, so we are going to get rolling here. So welcome everybody to What Keeps You Up at Night, Entrepreneurship During Challenging Times, episode 24. Hard to believe we made it to 12 weeks in. I think we're getting better at this.
Oh, yeah.
More people keep watching, so I guess we're doing a couple of things right. I think it's the amazing guests that we have and also my fabulous co-hosts. And we have two more diverse, interesting, compelling guests that we are going to share with you today in our half-hour show. So my name is Colin Weston. I am the community leader for Startup Vancouver. And Startup Vancouver is one of over 40 chapters of Startup Canada across our country. And if you don't know, Startup Canada is the voice for the over 3.5 million entrepreneurs in this nation of ours. So to get us started here, I'm going to do a couple of community announcements here and a couple of intros here with a shared screen. So just bear with me for a second as I share that, and then we'll get rolling. So on today's show, we have Sophia Jackson, aka Sojay, as she'll be going by, and who is a financial educator and also the author of SoulfulColour. We'll be talking about all those good things that she's doing in the entrepreneurship space. And we also have my good friend, Raphael Rocha. I guess in some ways also my boss, because I also have had the pleasure of teaching at Global Startup School. So he is the program director of Global Startup School at Tamwood Careers. So my co-host, Maryam Mobini, on Thursdays with us today. She is going to open up the show with a conversation with Raphael.
Thank you.
As we always do, take a temperature of the room, a temperature of our audience and everybody out there. How's everybody doing? We hope everybody is hanging in there and everybody is doing their best to take care of themselves, be kind to themselves, and be kind to others. And I think that statement will tie in so nicely with my conversation with Sojay with SoulfulColour later on. With Startup Vancouver, best way to connect with us is through social media. We are very active on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and also on LinkedIn on our page there, where we not only post all of the events that we host and stage, but also all the ones that other organizations within our community, both here locally, provincially, and nationally, and we're always there to support. Because as the sign says behind me here, we are here to connect you as entrepreneurs to each other, to events, to resources all across the country. And we also have our YouTube channel where you can find not only this episode that we'll post in a couple of days, if you like this so much, maybe you want to watch it twice, and also all the other 23 that we have staged so far. You'll find all the content on there with all of our previous guests. So while you're there, please subscribe to our channel, because the more we grow, the more great content we can create and put on there for you as you embark on your entrepreneurial journey. I just want to touch on rewinding the tape from a great event we had last week, which was, I guess it's a week and a half ago now, which was a part of our monthly Can Startup Stories series, our speaker series, and we were celebrating Black entrepreneurs. And we had some amazing, diverse speakers talking about their entrepreneurial journey and sharing their stories with us. And I know Sojay, you've got a couple of friends on there. I think you know Emily also, and also good friends with Melanie, is where we actually met over a year ago in beautiful Brampton, my hometown, when I was there. With this show, we want this to be interactive. So if you're joining us on our Zoom live stream or on Facebook Live, please put questions in the comment or in chat for our guests. We'd be happy to ask them on your behalf, because that's what we want to do. We don't want this to be a passive half hour. We want this to be engaging. So please participate, and we welcome your questions. We are very honored and grateful to have a charity partner, and that is Jack.org. And Jack.org is a nonprofit organization that are advocates for mental health awareness for youth. And they do this by engaging young people as ambassadors at grassroots level, both in schools and in organizations across the country. And they do impactful work. And on our Eventbrite registration page for each one of these shows, we do have the option for you to donate. So please, if you get a chance on future shows, make an effort to donate, because once again, unbelievably impactful cause that we are very, very pleased to be a partner with. So on today's show, we do have Raphael Rocha, as I mentioned, who is the program director with Global Startup School. Maryam's going to open up with him for a conversation about all the good things that they're doing there and how they are managing to transition during these virtual times. And then afterwards, I'm going to have the pleasure to speak with Sojay about not only the book that she wrote in 2017, SoulfulColour, but also the work that she does as an entrepreneur and also as a financial educator. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to hand it over to my Thursday co-host, Maryam Mobini. Maryam, take it away.
Thanks, Colin. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Raphael, you would have to unmute yourself. It's a pleasure to have you, and I was honored to be able to teach at Global Startup School. It was such a great experience and amazing students, really one of the best students I work with. And in the past 5 months, when this pandemic started here, I'm wondering what were some of the challenges that you were faced with? What was keeping you up at night?
So it was quite a challenge for us, of course, because we had to move everything to online, all our classes, and it was quite interesting because from one day to the other, the owners of the company, they told us that we should close the school, and we had to change everything from one day to another, start to learn more about like Zoom, Google Meets, all those kinds of platforms, and also how to store files, all those kinds of things. So we are moving all our business to be like an e-school.
Mm-hmm. So that's the shift. And how do you see the future of education? Where do you see it going?
So nowadays, I'm sure that we cannot come back. Now everyone knows how to use like online tools, and I can tell you an example. We as like Tamwood, because Tamwood is the group that's the owner of the Global Startup School. I'm also the director of Tamwood Careers, where we have like digital marketing and international business and management program, a part of entrepreneurship. But it's quite interesting because now, just you to understand, we have some students that they watch classes in person at the school, but they can also watch from their homes. And because of course, because of COVID, we have a limit of people to keep safe distance inside the class, and all of the things with temperature measure, like safe distance, all those kinds of things. But they can also watch from home, and that is working like pretty well. The start was pretty hard because some people they are in class, other people they are at home, but now it's working very well. And even at the Global Startup School, doing their own startups, because it's what we do at Global Startup School. You, Maryam and Colin know about that. So they are working with that, and groups are doing this work online and offline.
Can you please tell the audience who may not know much about Global Startup School, what makes Global Startup School very unique, and what sort of the students does it attract, and who do you invite?
Yeah, like it's quite interesting. Before I came here, like I was an executive, and I lived like in Dubai, in different countries. I also taught for some MBA programs in France, in Brazil also. I came here to be a guest speaker in UBC, and it was quite interesting because I never saw something similar to the Global Startup School. It's like a mix of an MBA, like an accelerator. It's very unique. Why that? Because mostly like our instructors, they are entrepreneurs, as like Maryam, as Colin, people that has knowledge about the market. But I can tell you, because I came from like a multinational background, it's so different because we need to have real entrepreneurs. People that are hands-on, people that do their own business, people that understand what the entrepreneurs face. And that's exactly what we have. We have like different courses during the program, And we have like part of the program that is like, that is the course itself, the structured lecturing, doing some kind of activities, very hands-on. And after we have the lab time, where we have like mentorship for the students to work in the startups. It's quite interesting. And there are coming like a lot of good ideas during these COVID times. We have companies like real estate, VR, virtual reality in the real estate. We have many other projects that are quite interesting, mixing technology with the startup world.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Actually, seeing is that have your students' ideas changed? They pivoted now, you know, considering the situation that we're in? Are you noticing that most of them are thinking about how they can pivot so that they could address some of the, you know, the issues that we're faced with because our world is changing? So how can we envision and design this new future?
Yeah, like they are redesigning their future and of course of their businesses also because of COVID. Like just to give you like an example, one, she had like an idea to have like a platform. We have different stages of business. There are some people already in the market that went to Spring that got the startup visa. They have like as Raul, like that they have like their business running. But we have people also in the ideation early stage process. But with COVID, they had like to change their minds and to understand. And for some of them, it was quite good because they can reach more people online. And depending on the business, that can be helpful.
Mhm. Thank you. I'm wondering if there are any questions from the audience or Colin or Sojay, if you have any questions for Raphael.
Yeah, we don't have any questions from the audience yet, but I did have a follow-up question for Raphael. I know, Maryam, you touched on kind of the future of what lies before and how you've kind of dealt with the last 5 months here to not only thrive but also to survive. Because I know it's been difficult for all schools. So now, how do you see, let's say, once students are able to travel again, do you think, Raphael, that that international students are going to come to TAMA, to Global Startup School, or do you see there's more value to continue to be virtual and work your marketing dollars that way?
Yeah, we are not going to stop now. That's quite interesting. Everything will be online. We are redesigning our courses, programs, like everything, of course, with support of some instructors, but everything will be with this mixed model because we are expecting this at least to go through next year with this COVID problem. But it's also like a new platform and a new resource for us of revenue that we can. There are people that we teach that they are in Europe, you know, like things are happening. And it's quite interesting because our plan is to continue to grow, to change. We are expecting students to come here because like this type of business is pretty big for Canada. It's more than $20 billion, the students here. And of course, they are very hard workers. Some of them, they come here and after they try to apply for some kind of permanent residence, all those kinds of things, which helps the economy in Canada to grow. And that's exactly what we need. At Global Startup School, some of our students, for example, after they apply for startup visa, and they get like, we had like 2 students that they got their startup visa, they opened their business. So students do not come here just to study, they also work and they help the economy as a whole to grow.
Got it. So wanted to quickly ask you this before we have to switch over, if there's any other questions. You have to, I guess, look inward as an entrepreneur and kind of start doing, well, even more, do the things that you teach all the time. And one of them is customer discovery. Are you creating a product, an experience, a service that people want, especially now that things have changed so radically and so quickly here? So since international students really are your customer, are you now seeing that they're looking for different value propositions of what you're bringing to them? You know what I'm saying? Have you found?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you tweaking the curriculum a bit now that it is virtual?
Yeah, like most part of the students, they want these, how can I say, like mixed like type of school, where we have like in-person classes, online classes. Our online classes, just you to understand, we are putting like pools, like different like activities, because now we learned, for example, that students, like when they are online, they don't like more than 1 hour class. So we need to change a little bit how we do classes, with more breaks, with like different activities, videos, all those kinds of things, and all those tools that we are bringing to our program. But of course, we are like in the middle of it. And so it keeps like, it takes a little bit of time for us to build, but it's going pretty well. We are doing like a good job as far as we understand with our current students.
Got it. And I wish you and everybody else on the team there at Global Startup School nothing but success, because you are also extremely hardworking. Knowing you are so passionate about the program there and put in such effort. So I'm really, I just wish you all the best there with Global Startup School as you keep evolving your product and your service offering and your business model there. So Raphael, thanks so much for the chat. Maryam, thanks for the interview there. So I'm going to switch it over here. So Sojay, if you can turn your microphone on. And I did want to share my screen just for a second again here, which is with this one here. Just so what we had talked about before. So people understand what Sojay has written here. So with SoulfulColour, and I'm going to read something. I've taken this right off your Amazon page, and we'll actually put it right on there for you, Sojay. I love this. Actually, right. SoulfulColour, talking about an affirmation color book for your inner child. You say each page has an affirmation statement or mantra that is accompanied by an image that speaks to that affirmation. The thought-provoking affirmations will resonate, uplift, and inspire you while gently encouraging you to take care of yourself, de-stress, and get lost in the unique world that you are urged to create. It is therapeutic, tranquil, soothing care for your soul. So this is just such a perfect alignment with what keeps you up at night. So the first question I'm going to ask, which really I'm stealing from Maryam, it is Maryam's question, but I can ask it, is what inspired you to write this book?
Coloring definitely keeps me up at night. It's a self-care practice that I go to. The creation of the book prompted, like I went back to school as a mature student to become a youth worker several years ago. And, as an adult, you put a lot of pressure on yourself to, I'm like, this is my second time doing it. And this time I'm doing college from getting my credentials from the standpoint of I actually want to be here because I'm going to be doing something that's going to be impacting youth's lives. And whereas the first time I went, I was just like, whatever. And so I wanted to get honors. And I was in the room with, university graduates, high school graduates, and then, you're talking about some really intense topics when you're talking about how you're going to support young people and vicarious trauma. And of course, so being a care worker, self-care practice comes up. And I was coloring to help relieve stress, but didn't find images like mandalas and the more intricate, futuristic landscapes. All those things were just too intricate for me because it stressed me out because I was like, I'm not going to be able to finish this in one sitting. How am I going to? So I was like, I can't use coloring, and coloring can't be something that's adds stress. So I would color children's coloring books. And then I realized that there wasn't any books out there that represented me as a woman of color in the diversity that exists in Toronto too. So, images were just, and if it was very, stereotypical, generic stuff that didn't resonate with me. I want something with some swag, like what Afro puffs and hair and stuff like that. So I set out to create it, and that's what inspired it. So I am the author and creator, but I worked with friends and family who are illustrators, and we collaborated on the images to go along with each affirmation.
I love this. And over how long of a period before the aha moment when you decided, yes, I wanted to create this, to the time it was published? How long of a period of time was that?
About a year, because I talked about it a lot and was upset. Why isn't something like this exist already? And then I was like, yeah, and then I was like, I don't draw, right? Because that's the first thing people are like, so you drew all the pictures too? And I'm like, no, I didn't draw the pictures. And so to find people that are close to me who would get it and that I could work with to get those images to go along with the affirmations.
I love what you just said there. And for all the entrepreneurs out there, whether you're a tech entrepreneur or you're working in the arts like you are, it's all about collaboration, and it's all about not only relinquishing and surrendering control and putting the trust and empowering others to help propel you forward to do that. And I know so many entrepreneurs, especially in the tech side, they don't. They want to keep it all themselves. I hate to say it. Usually it's men that have that issue. But that it's just a great example of that, of how to collaborate to propel yourself forward. Otherwise, you might still be talking about this great book that you want to put out there, but you did it, you launched it. The idea is usually like 1% of the energy and the effort, but you managed to execute on that. So I want to ask you, we don't know each other that well, but it seems like you wear a lot of different hats. Some of them where you're kind of working the right side of your brain here with like what you're doing with SoulfulColour, and then also the left side of your brain as a financial educator. Can you tell us a bit about the work that you do in financial education?
Well, I truly believe that creatives, and I refer to myself as a creative, are the best financial planners, advocators, influencers, because there is creativity involved, right? And so I approach it from a self-care practice standpoint, right? SoulfulColour is a self-care practice. Taking care of your finances and financial discipline is also a self-care practice. It's the way you can show love to yourself. And so I like to highlight the existing connection between mental wellness, self-care, and financial wellness. That mental wellness is and financial wellness are connected. And like I said, highlight the existing connection, because we like to think of them as two separate things. You know, as a Libra, I have the balancing thing, and I've always been teetering on, you know, I have a past of singing, songwriting, and performing, and I've always had like a 9 to 5. Like I never delved right into the starving artist narrative. So I've always been balancing that, but I was just like, you know, I want to bring them together and show that they coexist, and the reasons why they coexist and why they shouldn't be separated: creative, finance, mental health, mental wellness. And so that's how I am merging them and bringing them together.
Love it. It sounds like you're the master of the side hustle here. It sounds like that's the way you approach things, right? Have the stability of the 9 to 5. That's something I got away from a couple of years. And for some people, they're very comfortable with that, but it definitely is a riskier proposition. It sounds like if I rewind the tape, I probably kept doing the model that you're living here, and that's the one that I'm getting back to. I can keep asking you questions, but I know that Maryam really wants to jump in here, because the work that she does and Sojay, what you do, it's so beautifully aligned. So I'm going to step back and let Maryam ask a couple of questions here.
Thank you. You know, I love a couple of things I love a lot of things that you talked about, of course, but one thing that you said is that you didn't see this in the world, and you kept talking about it, but what you actually did something about it, which is great. And you didn't let you not knowing how to draw to hold you back. And I know, and I know as creatives and as entrepreneurs, the fear, you know, I'm wondering how what were some of the fears, what were some of the inner critics that were creeping in while you were working on this project? And how did you dance with your fear? Or what did you say to the fear, you know, when it was, what were the voices?
Yeah, I'm my own worst critic. So a part of the dialogue was, how dare you, how dare you put out a coloring book when you don't even know how to draw? It's like one of my favorite poems is, speeches is, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. You know, who am I not to be? And then, so I had to talk myself off the ledge and be like, you know, I know a lot of creative artists, my brother being one of them. He lives in Ottawa, and so I just said, you know, like, this is an opportunity for me to work together with some people and to make the vision a reality. And I was just, it's kind of funny, like, I don't know where I got this from, but I was just like, there was no other alternative other than to create it. I was just like, it doesn't exist, and we need it to exist. Kind of like, you know, multicultural pencil crayons, which I had to source and try to find something that could accompany the book, because now you have these images with all that, you know, the outlines of them look like they could be diverse skin tones, but then you only have dark brown and light brown in a pack of crayons usually. So, and then I also realized that usually when you think of something, you know, there's very seldom is there an original idea. So when I thought multicultural pencil crayons, and I went out and sure enough, I found them. But that wasn't the case with this book, which is why I was just like, wow, you know, that made it even more special that I had to move forward with creating it. And then I'm working on a second book as well. And it's a great segue towards the using financial literacy as a self-care practice too, you know, for some people who are, you know, they get their back up about talking about finances as most people do. It's a good way to kind of introduce it as something a little bit more calming and therapeutic, you know, taking a holistic approach.
I love that. That was going to be my next question, is that you were talking about, you know, financial care and how you see these two worlds merging. And I was going to ask, is this book, does this, you know, talk about anything related to finances and how to take care of yourself financially, you know? I think you're merging it, you're bringing it together, which is really beautiful. And I'm wondering about your creative process. How do you get into the flow? Do you have a practice that gets you in the flow, or is this like the drawing itself is what gets you in the flow?
Actually, when Colin was talking about me wearing multiple hats, you know, I'm a songwriter, and so I'm always jotting down like and inspirational quotes. That's what my, you know, if you go to my Instagram page, they're all over the place. So I just kind of keep a notebook of things, like something pops into my head, I write it down, and then I just pull them all together and kind of cherry pick the ones that I thought would make sense, and so the next book, the first book, I actually wasn't even really exposed to the financial world at the time, which is a whole other story and episode or whatever. So there aren't financial concepts in the current SoulfulColour, but there will be in the next one, where I'm going to, you know, it's a light, fun way to talk about some serious issues, right? Yeah. This current SoulfulColour is like diversity, equity, inclusion, representation, working with young people too, and having conversations about hair and all of that stuff. It's also a resource that I've been, you know, trying to interweave into the school board as well, because I work with the school board as a youth worker, and counselors have used the book as a talking tool. So there's so many applications for the book. And but to answer I kind of went off on a tangent, but to answer your question, yeah, I write poetry, songs, and stuff like that. So finding new ways or unique Sojay ways to say regular things, things that have already been said before probably, but in my own way, is what I constantly just jot down stuff and then put them in the book.
I love it. And I look forward to seeing your second book as well. And I was wondering about what are the feedbacks that you've been getting and what has been the response towards your first book.
It's been amazing, like overwhelming in some cases, you know, when we're talking about, I had an opportunity where one of the teachers that I work with, she saw that I had the book, and she bought a copy for a friend of hers who has a child, mixed race marriage. And the daughter has been being teased at school and stuff like that about her hair and things like that. And she said that if she had this book, that it might be able to, you know, help her and to see, again, representation, right? So she was just really excited about being able to gift this to her friend and for them to sit down and color together and have conversations. So something like that. And the response is always, I haven't had one negative response, and it's always been overwhelming. It's not just like, oh, nice book. It's always been like, this is great. This is awesome. Well, look at the images, look at the, you know, and then it's really interesting to see people and left brain, right brain, like you were mentioning, Colin, like who looks at the book and then doesn't even see the words. They just see the images. Mm-hmm. And then you have to like, oh, did you see that there's a sentence there? They're like, oh yeah, I didn't even notice. I was just so focused on the pictures. And then vice versa. I don't know how somebody could just like, well, they see that there's a picture, but they zone in on the words first, and then they'll look at the picture. So yeah, the feedback's been really great. I need to work on the marketing. So if there's anybody out there that's listening, like, because I wear so many hats, I need to focus more on the marketing to just let people know and be aware that it's out there.
Maryam and Raphael can help you out with both of that. They can hook you up. And I think this conversation going for another half an hour. It seems like we're just getting warmed up, but we like to keep the show to half an hour, just a little bit over that, but that's okay, because I'm glad, Maryam, you squeezed in a couple extra questions there, because Sojay, I think you provided some great nuggets of wisdom there in the back end, so it was worth the extra 3 minutes of the show today. And the fact you said you're going to have a second book, a follow-up book, we're going to have you back on the show sometime, as well with Raphael, to whatever that time is, to hear about the status of where things are progressing with Global Startup School. So to wrap up, I do want to mention here before I hand it over to Maryam to close the show today, that is part of Self-Care Ourselves, that after Pedal to the Metal, 12 weeks and 24 episodes, we're going to take a little bit of a break now. So we're going to take the next 4 weeks off, and we're going to be back on Tuesday, September 8th. So yeah, we need to recharge our batteries a little bit here too, as everybody needs to do. So we're not just saying it, we're also living that. So thank you everyone that's joined us to make the show what it is for the first 12 weeks. Look forward to being back. Sojay, Raphael, thanks so much for joining us today. And to close our show today, I want to hand it over to Maryam.
Thank you so much, everyone. Just before we go, Sojay, where can our audience find you on Instagram? What's your Instagram handle for the book?
My Instagram is Sojay Soul, so SOJAYSOUL for Sojay, and that's more the financial side. And then SoulfulColour, I also have the Instagram handle, SoulfulColour, at SoulfulColour for the book.
Great, thank you so much. When we will share that with everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and we would look forward to seeing everyone on September 8th. And we're gonna
thank you.
There we go.
Great. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Have a nice day.